Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, the Palestinians are planning another Hudna. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was made between Mohammed and the leaders of Mecca after Mohammed realized he was not strong enough to defeat their armies. The agreement allowed Mohammed to live in peace within Mecca. He used the time to build up his forces and then overthrew the city from within. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah, or Hudna, has become synonymous with deception and is a common practice among Muslims who believe that trickery is justified as long as it furthers the cause of Islam. During the Oslo Accords, the terrorist leader Yasser Arafat pacified the Palestinian people by telling them in Arabic he was planning a Hudna. Addressing Mahmoud Abbas and other Palestinian leaders last week during his Friday sermon, Mahmoud al-Habash, the Palestinian Minister of Religious Affairs, said that the Palestinians are planning to use the peace talks to deceive Israel and the world. He revealed that the PA is taking the right path, which leads to achievement, exactly like the Prophet Muhammad did in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah.
The Palestinian Authority has released a report detailing bonuses of up to $50,000 given to each of the 52 terrorists released by Israel as part of the peace negotiations. Additionally, each terrorist has been appointed to a senior position in the Palestinian government or the PA security forces and will be earning monthly salaries higher than those of tenured civil servants. Israeli politicians were outraged that the convicted terrorists are being given financial rewards. Deputy Defense Minister Dani Danon said that international aid money is being used to give massive grants to terrorists, and he called on the world to stop sending money to the Palestinian Authority until it stops funding terror. Deputy Minister Ofer Kunis said that while Israel makes more gestures of goodwill, Palestinian leadership continues to feed the fire of violence and encourage terror, adding that grants to villainous murderers reveals the true face of Israel's so-called partners for peace and is further proof that they are not coming to the negotiating table with clean hands.
Last week, Iran simulated long-range ballistic missile attacks on Ben Gurion International Airport, the Azrieli Towers in downtown Tel Aviv, and Israel's largest army base. The simulation was aired on Iranian national television as an hour-long documentary meant to assert Tehran's intentions toward the Jewish state. The gruesome show ended with real pictures of Israeli casualties from the 2006 Lebanon War. Iran has also unveiled an unmanned aerial vehicle which they claim can reach Israel. Hossein Dakhan, the defense minister of Iran, said the drone has been successfully tested and shows that sanctions imposed by the enemies are not an obstacle to the progress of the defense industry. This comes after a report from the International Atomic Energy Agency, which states that despite the negotiations, there has been no change in Iran's nuclear program. The hardline Islamic Republic continues to enrich uranium and is racing to develop a nuclear weapon. Yuki Amano, the Director General of the IAEA, said enrichment activities are ongoing. And in spite of the warning signs, the P5+1 nations are heading toward a deal with the rogue Islamic Republic, which will relieve many of the sanctions and could save Iran up to $40 billion. Israel and France both agree that before easing the sanctions, Iran must fully halt uranium enrichment and cease activity at the heavy water reactor at Arak.
French President François Hollande was greeted with a hero's welcome in Israel after Paris was the only country of the P5+1 to oppose the nuclear deal with Iran. Upon landing in Israel for a 3-day visit last week, Hollande promised that his nation would not make concessions on nuclear proliferation and would maintain all of its measures and sanctions against Tehran until the hardline Islamic Republic renounces the pursuit of atomic weapons. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed his French counterpart, saying that Israel sees in France a true friend. He also praised Hollande for displaying an aggressive stance against Iran's increasing efforts to arm itself with nuclear weapons, saying that the Jewish state is full of admiration for Hollande's unflinching stance to prevent an atomic Iran. Saying that Israel and France stand together against this attempt, Netanyahu described Iran's nuclear development program as a dark shadow not only over the skies of the Middle East, but the entire world.
Another unlikely partner against a nuclear-armed Iran has reportedly allied itself with Israel. The Sunday Times of London has reported that the Mossad is conspiring with Saudi Arabia to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. The paper quoted a diplomatic source as saying, once the Geneva Agreement is signed, the military option will be back on the table. He said the Saudis are furious and are willing to give Israel all the help it needs. Israel's former intelligence chief recently said that if Iran gets the bomb, the Saudis will not wait 1 month. He said unlike other potential regional threats, the Saudi one is very credible and imminent.
Scholastic, the world's largest publisher and distributor of children's books, has published a book including a map of the Middle East without Israel. The map clearly shows Syria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Jordan. But Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East, is omitted. Senior Vice President for Corporate Communications Kyle Good released a statement saying that Scholastic has stopped further shipments of the book and that the company regrets the error. Angry consumers complained on the company's website, demanding that the grievous mistake be explained and that Scholastic fully recall all of the books that have already been delivered.
A terrorist attack in the Hezbollah stronghold of Beirut has killed at least 23 people. The bombing, which took place just outside the Iranian embassy, is said to have caused substantial damage to the diplomatic compound. The Prime Minister of Gaza, who is also the head of the Hamas terrorist organization, reportedly sought medical treatment in Israel for one of his grandchildren last week. Amal Haniya, the 1-year-old granddaughter of Ismail Haniya, was transferred to Schneider Children's Hospital in Petah Tikva. Hamas is responsible for numerous terrorist attacks against Israel and vehemently denies Israel's right to exist. The World Health Organization says that thousands of Palestinians are treated in Israeli hospitals each year.
IDF soldiers are continuing to treat wounded people in the Philippines in the wake of devastation caused by Super Typhoon Haiyan that left thousands dead and is estimated to have affected the lives of more than 11 million people. The IDF Field Hospital has so far treated hundreds of Filipinos and will continue to deliver medical care and aid to the victims. The Israeli group reported that at least 5 babies have so far been delivered at their birthing clinic, the first of which was named Israel by his grateful parents.
The Jewish people will begin Hanukkah, the festival of lights, this week. The holiday is the celebration of a miracle that God performed in Israel when the Greeks attempted to paganize the Jews by profaning the temple and outlawing Shabbat. Although greatly outnumbered, a group of faithful Jews chose to fight for the freedom to worship the one true God. And in return, he was faithful and made the small Jewish army, led by the Maccabee family, victorious over the mighty Greek Empire. The Maccabees returned to the holy city of Jerusalem, cleansed the temple, and reinstituted Sabbath observance. On Wednesday night, Jews will light the first candle of Hanukkah and remember that God's light will shine from Jerusalem forever.
More than 1 million Jewish children have been killed by abortion in Israel since 1948. Israel is currently engaged in a demographic war for its very survival as a Jewish state. Imagine what a difference 1 million more Jews would have made for Israel. Friends of Efrat saves the lives of thousands of children every year by providing support to pregnant women in distress. Since 1977, Efrat has saved over 30,000 lives and is recognized as a world leader in preventing abortions. You can play a major role in Israel's survival now by helping us save Israel's unborn children.
And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here on location in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. My guest today is Congressman Doug Lamborn from the great state of Colorado. Congressman Lamborn, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Josh.
Congressman Lamborn, you're the chairman of the Congressional Israelites Caucus. What is that body?
Well, with my co-chairman and myself, we have support in Congress on a bipartisan level for our relationship with Israel. It's folks who want to make sure that the U.S. and Israel have a strong working relationship.
Now, you're a Bible-believing Christian. How much of a play does that take in the role in Congress here?
Well, my faith certainly informs me that it's important for America to be supportive of Israel. However, it goes way beyond that. There are also reasons to support the only working democracy in the Middle East. There are strategic military reasons to support a strong ally in a very troubled part of the world. So all across the board, there are lots of reasons why I support Israel.
You know, the Congressional Israelites Caucus works with Israelites caucuses in 25 countries around the world. These are people who have come together to turn their biblical support for Israel into political support for Israel. How important do you think that is in the political world stage?
Josh, it's real important. We're having this meeting of the 25 countries here this week in Washington to mobilize support and figure out better ways that we can, in our respective countries on many continents around the world, show that Israel is a valued ally, a valued member of the world community, because unfortunately, Josh, there are attempts to isolate or ostracize Israel unfairly. And we want to set the record straight. We want to show that Israel is making such a positive contribution to peace. It's not always understood by the neighbors of Israel. We have to work through that. But Israel is a valued member for further peace and democracy in the world.
What are some of the main issues that the Congressional Israelites Caucus tackles here in Congress?
One issue that we have tackled and made some progress on is we urged ambassadors from the European Union, we met with them personally and said, you need to make the step this year of labeling Hezbollah a terrorist organization. They did that, at least the military wing of Hezbollah. I want them to go further next time. But that was an effort that we took here in Congress, the 4 co-chairmen, including myself, of meeting with various ambassadors, and we think that that was a help for them making the right decision. Labeling Hezbollah a terrorist organization, that means that they can't move money around as easily as they could before.
You know, one of the major issues in Israel is that we don't understand why countries will refuse to recognize our capital of Jerusalem. The Congress in America has taken bold action to recognize the capital of Jerusalem, yet still the State Department, the presidency have refused to acknowledge that. What can the Congressional Israelites Caucus do about that issue?
Josh, it's amazing. For the last 3 presidents, including Barack Obama, Congress has laws on the books saying we should move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem to honor the wish of the Israelis to name their own capital, which is Jerusalem in this case. No other country in the world faces this same dilemma, where outside countries don't let them name their own capital. So we've taken action. Unfortunately, the administrations of the last 3 presidents have exercised a waiver power to not actually carry that out. The State Department, I think, gives them bad advice in this regard. So Congress is trying to figure out ways to strengthen that law. We have some laws in the works right now, and that's what we're working on, including in the caucus.
You know, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel not because of Camp David, but because of King David. Do you think the international countries' refusal to recognize Jerusalem is something as an anti-Judeo-Christian stance?
I hope that's not what it is, Josh. You never know sometimes what's lurking as motives in people's hearts.
One of the amazing things that you've been able to do is to bring together both Jews and Christians, Democrats and Republicans in the caucus. So you have 2 chairmen who are Republican and Bible-believing Christians, and 2 chairmen who are Democrats and Jewish. How have you been able to succeed in that formula?
Well, it's a great working relationship. I really think the world of Trent Franks and Elliot Engel and Brad Sherman, my co-chairman. We work together on these issues. We may not agree on all the political issues that we vote on when we go to the floor of the House, but when it comes to Israel, we're solidly united, as are many of our colleagues in Congress as well.
You know, Congressman Lamborn, there are tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
I want to say to everyone listening, Josh, that it's important to support Israel. In Genesis, God said to Abraham, whoever blesses you, I will bless. Whoever curses you, I will curse. And I think that that's true down to today. So there are spiritual reasons why it's important to support Israel. But like I said earlier, there are also geopolitical and strategic and democratic reasons to support Israel. When you add that all together, it's important for America to be a strong supporter of Israel. And that's one of my missions here in Congress.
Thank you, Congressman Lamborn, for being on the show. You're a tremendous blessing to America and Israel.
Thank you, Josh.
And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
This is Jerusalem, Israel's capital city. It's an ancient and modern treasure that is beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Up next, shining light from Israel.
Should Israel withdraw its military from the Jordan Valley and rely on international forces for its security? Some politicians and diplomats around the world say yes. But 70% of Israelis say no. Who's right? Egypt. After the Suez Crisis, the United Nations Emergency Force, UNEF, is deployed in the Sinai Peninsula. Its mission, securing the cessation of hostilities, ensuring freedom of navigation in the Strait of Tiran, and serving as a buffer between Israel and Egypt. However, in May 1967, Egypt masses its army on Israel's border and closes the Strait of Tiran. UNEF retreats. The stage is set for the outbreak of the Six-Day War. Lebanon, 1978. After repeated armed attacks against Israel by terrorist organizations operating from southern Lebanon and Israeli defensive actions, the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, is established. Its mission, restoring peace and security and the effective authority of the Lebanese government. However, UNIFIL fails to stop the flow of hostile forces from entering southern Lebanon and fails to stop the terrorist attacks against Israel. 2 wars ensue in 1982 and 2006. In 2000, UNIFIL troops observe Hezbollah's cross-border attack on Israel and the kidnapping of 3 Israeli soldiers, but do nothing to stop the attack. In 1983, Iran orders Hezbollah to attack the multinational force in Beirut. 241 American servicemen and 58 French paratroopers are killed. The multinational force withdraws completely within 6 months. 2006, UNIFIL is upgraded with European troops and weapons in order to implement UN Security Council Resolution 1701. Its mission, to stop Hezbollah activity south of the Litani River and help implement a weapons embargo on the organization. However, UNIFIL does nothing to stop the rearmament of Hezbollah.
We are at a point now where Hezbollah has far more rockets and missiles than most governments in the world.
Gaza, 2005. After Israel pulls out of Gaza, European monitors are stationed on the Gaza-Egypt border. Their mission, to prevent weapons smuggling into Gaza. However, In 2006, as Hamas begins its takeover of Gaza, the Europeans flee their positions. Iranian and Libyan weapons flow into the arsenals of Hamas, Islamic Jihad and Al-Qaeda affiliates and are fired at Israeli population centers. By June 2007, their operations are officially suspended. Syria. The United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, UNDOF, is established in the Golan Heights following the Yom Kippur War. Its mission, to maintain the ceasefire between Israel and Syria. However, in 2013, as the Syrian civil war intensifies, Austria, Croatia, India and the Philippines retreat. The repeated failure of international forces to maintain peace and security goes well beyond the Middle East. Peacekeeping forces from the US and Europe dispatched to Somalia, Bosnia and Rwanda have ultimately retreated when attacked, allowing a bloodbath to follow. Since 1967, the Jordan Rift Valley has served as a formidable geographic barrier protecting Israel and the front line of its defense in the east. The Israeli army has been deployed along its steep slopes, thwarting terrorist infiltration and deterring potential attacks from hostile armies. This critical zone cannot be turned over to international forces that have consistently proven to be ineffective, unreliable, and quick to retreat from conflict zones. Israel's national ethos has always been one of self-reliance, and it has never requested that its allies shed their soldiers' blood for its defense. History leads us to the unmistakable conclusion: Israel must defend itself by itself.
Anywhere else, this would be a vacation by a lake. But this is the Sea of Galilee. The wonders of Israel are beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
Time, we all have it, some more than others. Still, we all have it only 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. Time is like a river. It flows and it doesn't return. Today, that special block of time, today is the key that locks out yesterday's nightmares and unlocks tomorrow's dreams.
What about our time? We're at 24 hours in a day. How much of that time are we actually giving to the Lord?
Yeah, the funny thing about time is that it doesn't matter how much you think or you do not think about it, it just runs. It just keeps going. Your life, my life, their life. But that's the thing, that as young people we think that we have a lot of time.
We do. We have to be careful with the time. I mean, and then the time actually belongs to God.
He has your days. Psalm 19:12. Our days are numbered. Or live your day as your days will be numbered, so you will gain wisdom. It's the same thing. If I would tell you that you would die tomorrow, you will probably live your day tomorrow differently than today.
Definitely.
Now the question is why? Because your days are numbered. You realize that your time is up.
We often talk about tithing and so on when it comes to money, but what about our time? We're at 24 hours in a day. How much of that time are we actually giving to the Lord?
We are now in the Mount of Olives, and we are in the middle of the graveyard. All of them have a starting and end date. Now the interesting thing is that there's a small line in between. And that short, small line is our lives. That's how it's, you know, in my opinion, it's a good image of how short our life is. It's a short line.
There's so much fun things to do, and young people want to have fun, so you go on vacation, you're out with your friends, you're not to think about the serious stuff.
For example, the summer tour, young people come from around the world and they give their time and their money, which they could spend on a vacation, but they decide to come to serve here in Israel, to give the society of Israel, or certain parts, their time and their love. So that's, I think, a good example for what young people can do to invest their time wisely.
So this morning we were at the Mount of Olives, looking at how the city of Jerusalem has been built in time. It took a certain amount of time to build the city of Jerusalem. The same way we were at the graveyard, where all the gravestones have a beginning and end date. You know, I have a beginning date and I also have an end date. And that line in between those two dates is my life. And we went also to the shuk. So observe how people are living their daily lives and using their time and their decisions. And that's where they are at the moment. The place where I'm at the moment in my life comes in my time and in what type of decisions do I do in my time. So with Arise, we want to encourage young people to live their lives for God, to use your time for the calling that God gave only for you. We're working here every single day to help the young generation, to encourage them to use their time and give them tools to make correct decisions to build the kingdom of God worldwide. So God bless you from here from Jerusalem, and I hope that you have an awesome day today and use your time for the kingdom of God.
Don't forget to visit our website, where you will be able to find the Arise Bay show and the Arise Now magazine, in addition to a lot of other interesting material. God bless you.
Those who dreamed about the Jewish state, those who wrought the historical miracle and against all odds established a state, those who arrived in the homeland to their new home, those who propelled Israel forward step after step.
I have no doubt that this expanded partnership with our many Christian supporters will greatly strengthen Israel in the years ahead. And I want to thank you all for being part of that historic effort and that historic partnership. May God bless all of Israel's friends throughout the world. May God bless you.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan Elrom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.